Good afternoon to everyone from Brussels. It's definitely a pleasure to be here, and I thank you for the invitation to close today's event. It's unfortunately that today's circumstances do not allow us to meet us in person. However, today's event has run very smoothly and still very interactive, so thank you to the organizers for that. For those who have not met me yet, the breakout sessions today, my name is Marta Caruda, and I'm the project officer at EASME. EASME is the EU Commission's executive agency for small and medium enterprises, and I'm responsible for the track and the consensus projects, as Gus just briefly mentioned. Just a quick bracket here to say that today's audience, as we saw in the Klaxoon statistics, is that the audience is quite mixed, with 50% of the audience being clusters. My intention is that my messages today are mainly addressed to clusters and the project coordinators present today. So as Gus just mentioned, I've been working very closely with the project coordinators, Gus and Nicolas present today, but as well Ferle Riquiert. I'm not sure if she's here today. So I just want to thank you for the very good coordination. I also worked very closely with Christine, coordinator from DG Clusters, while I was covering this project during my colleague's maternity leave, Martina, who is also here among us today. So let me just start by congratulating all of you and your partnerships for the very good implementation till today, and all the efforts that you have put in reaching the expected results of the project. This afternoon's discussion made clear that how much work and efforts partnerships put behind the project, but also when it comes to work in capitalizing on already existing structures, as you mentioned, Gus, while ensuring the synergies among the three partnerships and creating the linkages, as you mentioned, in the value chains and the impacts. So this is for me the occasion today to thank the coordinators for the very good cooperation that we have established throughout the implementation of the project. We have been in regular contact, and they informed me timely about all difficulties, the reflections, the changes that were needed to achieve the best possible project outcomes. And despite the additional difficulties that the pandemics have created in the last months of the project, we should not take that for granted. Not only the pandemics impose disruptions and difficulties to your specific sector, but it also created additional challenge on the very essence of the running of your projects. For example, on the ability to meet, to exchange face-to-face interactions, to build trust, as you mentioned, among your SMEs. So this building the trust zone that you mentioned earlier, to provide informative measures and inspiration towards SMEs to carry common investment projects, that's also something very important that should not be taken for granted. So I just really hope that you sustain and feed the cooperation that you had until today and the links that you've already created within your partnerships. And the project track and consensus are a good example of added value of European cooperation with their peers, whereas creating ideas, value chains and solutions through cooperation. And I just think that the projects also showed an important role of clusters, how to foster SME growth, to help them to access finance and profit from cooperation, despite the different limitations that you experience. So I just hope that you can manage to reinforce these links that you already created, your work and strategic orientation of the regional smart specialization strategies, and also to contribute to the related investments, and that you continue these activities in the path in the future. So speaking about the cooperation opportunities, and also as a reaction to the request that you made in your presentation on EASME playing a higher role to facilitate interactions between S3 projects, please keep in mind that the European Cluster Collaboration Platform, which also known as the ECCP, which is managed by EASME, is a very complete one-stop shop for this purpose. The platform is being revamped, so there's a lot coming up in the next coming weeks. This allows interactions between the COSME, ESCP, S3 projects. The ECCP at the end of the day is your platform, and we aim to support your partnerships, promotions, and knowledge exchange. This is the platform through which you communicate your events that you organize, the results that you achieve in your work, or simply just to share news with the community, the cluster community that is out there. Also, just to say that the forums on the partnerships is also being revamped and relaunched. There are also other cluster opportunities you have as well, the cluster exchange facilities. There was recently a call on the SMEs Go International Technical Assistance Facility that closed last Friday. So I hope you share this information with your SMEs in your networks and also encourage them to participate in these sessions. As you mentioned as well, the call for proposals for the Clusters Go International Edition 2020, which is already opened, and you are very aware of that. Just to say as well, on the 7th edition of the European Cluster Conference, which is happening in 2 weeks and includes a cluster matchmaking event. This conference brings together cluster policymakers. So this is an opportunity to transmit all these recommendations that you have to feed into the policy to the cluster managers, to practitioners, and all the other stakeholders. So I really hope you registered on time. And that you took also the opportunity to increase the visibility of your cluster at the pitching session of the conference and or through the virtual booths that are available at the conference. And also just to mention, which this is something that was probably communicated to you recently through the ECCP, to save the date of the 16th of November in the morning for the virtual cluster partnering event. With all the cluster projects that are funded under COSME and Horizon 2020. So the objective of this partnering event is to facilitate the discussion and the exchange on topics relevant to clusters. I mean, you'll receive more information on the number of participants per project, the agenda, registration, that will be sent to you shortly. Maybe I would say something on the future of the COSME program as well, which may be interesting for all of you clusters. As you already know, the COSME program will not exist as a standalone program anymore, but will be integrated into what is called the Single Market Program with 1 billion euros that are dedicated to the competitiveness of SMEs, which will comprise further cluster-related initiatives. And as regards to the future of your projects and the sustainability of the achieved results, I'm actually very pleased to hear about the common vision and tracks of collaboration that you have identified in your presentation. However, it would be good to understand further sources of collaboration and funding. There's a regional and a private level, other than the EU funding for SME support, and to see how this will further evolve after the COSME project. So it is important to understand also for us how the snowball effect that the COSME financing can have in mobilizing further capital beyond the EU funding. So this is hopefully going to take into account further and to be raised in future projects. So to conclude, I just want to thank you again a lot for all the work that has been done. There's still some more work ahead of us for both of us, EASME and also project partners, in order to close the project administratively. So I actually count on all of you, all of the partners, not only on the coordinators, for the cooperation on this task in the coming months. Just to remind you that there's actually a recorded webinar that was conducted last June, no, not last June, June last year, on the financial management and reporting. And this is for you to ensure an accurate reporting at this final stage of your projects. If you don't have the link, you can remember, please drop me an email. I'm speaking to the coordinators and then I'll send you the link. So that said, I just want to wish you every success in the future. I'm really looking forward to exchanging at the final report phase with you again. And of course, I will be pleased to hear about further developments and results of your partnerships, even if this is after the closure of your projects. Thank you.